Hey, my name is Kyle. I'm here at PoguePoolSpa.com, and basically I'm going to go over what we have in front of us, which is a Pentair Challenger 3/4 horsepower pool pump. And I'm basically going to show you how to disable this pool pump and put it all back together within a matter of minutes. First, as you can see, it is a brand new pump. We have our inlet and outlet. These are 2-inch inlets and outlets. Water flows through and then discharges out this end here. This is what we call in the pool business a wet end. And we also have our clear lid. For normal maintenance, you're going to want to unscrew this lid with the pump off to check your strainer basket inside when it's full to empty it. As you can also see, we do have an O-ring that is already pre-lubed by the manufacturer, so there's no need for lube. When you go to tighten this lid, just a tip, you don't want to over tighten it. Suction alone will press this lid down. The reason we don't want to over tighten this lid too much is because over time you'll start to keep on tightening and stripping it out, and eventually you'll crack your housing, cause you problems there. That's just basic maintenance. Now, sometimes inside your impeller will get clogged up, or it might actually get damaged from wear and tear, chemicals, things like that. Or you might notice a leak behind your seal plate in your motor here. That's because you have a bad shaft seal. Or your motor will need changing because it has a loud grinding noise. That's because your bearings are dried up because of a bad shaft seal. Now, typically you want to change your shaft seal every 2 years. Unfortunately, we don't do that. A lot of us go until it grinds and then we pay $300 for a new motor. So let me just show you how to disable this. As you can see, it's real simple. With the pump off, we'll have this clamp band assembly here. You're just going to untighten it. It might be pretty tight there at home. Just eventually unscrew it. We have pre-loosened this just for time. Obviously the black knob will come off. These sometimes might need replacing with the threads inside might get stripped out. You do have your T-bolt. You cannot replace these, so if you strip these out you will be buying a whole new band. Put it aside here. Now all this is going to come apart together. So unfortunately it's not attached to any piping, so make sure. As you can see, when we take the motor off, the only thing that's going to be attached to your motor at home is going to be your electrical wiring, which will be on the back end of the motor. But other than that, you'll see we have a diffuser. We have the faceplate here. We also have a seal plate where the motor is attached to with 4 bolts, 9/16 bolts. Also, just a little tip, when you're taking this off and you're checking this at home, you want to look inside your housing here. Make sure there's not any cracks or damage by any means. There shouldn't be. These things are very durable. Pentair makes a very good pump. You will notice the seal plate gasket. You do not need to lube this gasket. Just a flat taper gasket fits right in there. So when you put it back together, you want to make sure your clamp is definitely tight. So it sits in there nice and well. Now getting back to this, we'll see we have a diffuser with a diffuser O-ring. Sometimes these might need replacing. In previous videos we talked about go kits. Pentair Challenger does have a go kit, which will come with everything you need, all your gaskets and seals. Now holding this in, you'll see 3 little screws, and you just use a Phillips for that. You also see deep down in here where your impeller is, which we'll get to, is another screw, and this is a reverse thread screw. So let me get to that and show you what that looks like. Just going to want to take your Phillips. I keep saying Phillips, I'm sorry, your flathead, whatever you want to call it. Unscrew these. You just want to take your diffuser off. As you'll notice, you have this impeller ring inside. It's a brass ring. You'll also know these grooves here, which controls water flow these are cracked in any way, you're going to want to replace your diffuser. Okay, that will affect your water flow. You also have a sill plate, face plate, what they call it on the schematic. It's right here. Just make sure it's not cracked. This big boy here is your sill plate once again, and this is your impeller. It spins, and it's going to keep spinning. This is what spins your water. When you go to replace this impeller, you need to keep in mind this is a through bolt motor. So what that means is when you take this cap off, notice that bolt's going to spin. You're never going to get this impeller off unless you get like a pair of channel locks or vice grips to hold it as you spin your impeller. Before you can take this impeller off, Challengers are equipped with this wonderful reverse threaded screw. When I say reverse thread, that means you're going to actually turn it clockwise instead of counterclockwise to remove it. Now, we have kind of pre-loosened these already for a time. The screw is really tight on here, which is possibly it is. You're going to want to have to hold this bolt, this through bolt as well, to make sure it doesn't spin, because this screw, let's see how long it is, actually goes into the bolt of the motor. Now you got your impeller. Now we've already pre-loosened it. Now at home, this impeller isn't going to come off so easy. Okay, it might require a lot of little muscle. It does come off counterclockwise. So you just want to unscrew it that way. Now, when you're looking at these impellers, you want to make sure they're not cracked, okay? If they're cracked, you're going to need a new impeller. If any of these fins in here are damaged, it's going to affect your water flow. Now, you might be able to get away with a little damage, not that problem, but this face plate here of the impeller is separating from these fins. Just imagine this under pressure, okay, with water just blasting through it. This thing's going to separate. You're not going to get proper water flow. Okay, so you're going to want to double check this and make sure you need to replace it. Now, all these parts, thankfully, have part numbers on them. Over time, they do wear out. You can always call us. We can figure it out for you. But anyways, as you can see inside here, like I said, your impeller screw actually goes into the bolt of the motor. Pretty neat. You'll see this seal, and this is a shaft seal, pump seal. It's a two-part seal. This seal is very important. It keeps the water from flowing inside the motor, which keeps the motor dry, and you know, it makes it so it lasts longer. You're gonna want to take this seal off. It might be a little hard, a little snug, because this rubber piece here really grips that bolt. Take that off. Going to flip this over onto its face, and you're going to notice the 4 bolts. These are 9/16 bolts. Going to have to take these off to take your motor off. Again, go counterclockwise. The only thing that you're going to want to go opposite is that impeller screw. Believe me, if you don't realize that's reverse threaded, you'll be out there for an hour trying to figure out how to get your impeller off in 100-degree weather, and it's not very pleasant. Done a couple of these, and now for people at home, what I always recommend, where your time box is, depending on what type of control panel you have, it's always good just keep a 9/16 socket there. That way you never have to go looking or guessing or having to remember, you know, what size bolts these are. And that's for the most part, unless times have changed. True with any motor, any pump out there, it's going to be a 9/16. Now, one thing you might notice here is this label. This label is very informational. It's going to tell you your horsepower of the pump, what type of pump it is, all that good stuff. Most all pool pumps, with the exception of a few, are going to be 115, 230 volts. So you're not, you know, all that stuff pretty simple and standard throughout the industry. Now, once you have your bolts undone, you simply just take the motor off. Boom. It's that easy. You also know, to get ahead of ourselves, once again, The sill plate, we'll make sure it's not cracked in any way. Shouldn't be. You also see this white piece. It's what we call the ceramic seal. Once again, it's a two-part seal. Comes together in one box. This white piece, when you're changing it out, the ceramic, you're not going to want to get any grease or lube on it. Usually what I would do out in the field, just kind of flip this seal over, the seal plate over, and just take my Phillips there, or flathead, sorry, and just pound it out. And it'll come right out, just like that. You'll see this rubber piece here, keeps it quite snugged inside. Now sometimes when you're replacing these, you know, it's good, like I say, you don't want to put any oils on here. So what I would do, just take like a piece of cardboard, usually from the seal box, and go over this seal and actually press down. It'll press right in with no problem, and it still won't leak on you. So anyways, let's get back to the motor. Now obviously I did that fairly easy and quickly. A lot of reason because we don't have any electrical tied to it. At home, you're going to have this big old gray conduit going to it, and you're going to have all your wires are going to be back here in the back. Now, I've kind of pre-loosened these already for time's sake. You just take this plate off, and the wires are going to go through this little piece right here, and you're going to see 3 connections. Now, for a single speed, 2 speed, you're going to have an extra load. You're going to have 2 loads and your ground. Okay, the 2 loads, like I said, these are 115, 230, so it's not going to matter which way the loads go, but it will matter that you do put the ground up here. Okay, and once you switch all that out and get it back together with your new motor, you're going to want to put everything back together. This is definitely easier than it looks. So basically, you're going to put it back together the way you took apart. Just take your face sill plate here, lay it face down, and take the motor and just put it in the hole. There, you're going to want to line up the bolts. Now one thing on these sill plates, you'll see this extra groove here on the top. This one lets you know it's the top of the sill plate. You can also see it looks like they have some arrows as well on the back of the sill plate. You're also going to want to make sure your motor is likewise right side up or whatever. You're going to take your 4 bolts, once again 9/16 bolts. You're going to want to screw them in there. Get them in there nice and tight, nice and snug. You definitely don't want this motor moving whatsoever, you know, when it's turned on. Right, got sill plate on. Ceramic seal is already in there. Once you replace it, you know, you're going to want to take your other piece of seal, other part, put it up there, make sure it's on there nice and snug. Don't worry about it being completely compressed. Once you go to put your impeller on there, it's going to definitely compress. Remember, it's once again a through bolt motor, so you're going to have to hold the end of the bolt on outside the motor here and put this thing on clockwise. You're going to want to make sure it is nice and snug. Don't worry, you'll be able to get it there just with your hand. Don't forget your impeller screw. Remember we said it was reverse thread. So that means when you put it on here to tighten it, it's going to go counterclockwise. Take it off, it's going to go clockwise. Put it back on, it's going to go counterclockwise. Just on this one screw alone. I'll make sure it's on there nice and tight. Put your impeller screws on. You're going to want to turn your motor upright if you have the room, wherever you're working at. And you're going to want to take your faceplate here, don't forget that. Line it up with the screw holes here. You're going to have 3 holes. Triangular formation there, 1, 2, 3. Notice these holes are a little bigger. That's because on the diffuser here, that's where these holes are going to sit. You know, it's going to kind of lock in there like that, become one system or one piece. And then you're going to take these screws and just tighten them in. just normal clockwise to tighten it. And there's only 3 screws, 3 holes. Remember, you want to just check, make sure there's no scratches or anything, or not scratches, but cracks in your diffuser or your plate or your seal plate. You want to make sure your gaskets are good, no creases, you know, a bunch of cracks in them or anything like that. Once again, you can get a Go kit. It's going to have all your gaskets, even the pump seal. Makes it very convenient, a little bit more affordable than buying everything individually. We carry all of that, so you know, can't find it on the website, just give us a call. Make sure all this is nice and tight. You don't have to overly tighten it, you know, just nice and snug. Alright, now all that's on there. You're going to want to put it back together here to your wet end. Make sure this gasket's on there nice. It's inside your seal plate gasket. So I'm going to sit right here on this little mounting plate, and you're just going to slide it in. Just kind of push it, you know, in there, nice and snug as best you can. So make it easier to put this clamp back on there. So you're going to take your clamp band assembly here. Try to slide it in there. There you go. I want to go this way first.